You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host Nesbitt, and today we clue up our Robert Garven interview. Jarvis Leatherby sat down in Ventura, California with Rob to get into the very early days and the formation of his band, Cirith Ungol. And this week we pick up right back up where we left off. This is the Robert Garven interview.
But we mailed out a bunch of these cassettes to people, never heard back. So we decided, hey, well, look, if we're going to do anything, let's put out a real album, but in between this and that, Tim was kind of one of our roadies and our friends. And I remember someone going, maybe it was Tim's brother, Dan, or someone saying, hey, Tim's got a really good voice. Let him try out. And I remember we put him on maybe something like was on the Orange tape. And I just was blown away. Like, wow, this is our new singer. And we'd had a singer for a while, Neil Beattie, we went to school with, my best friend, even to this day.
He sings on the track, We Know You're Out There, right? Is that song about UFOs or aliens?
Kind of,
right?
sort of, yeah.
I think that's a great song. It's really cool. Totally different vibe.
We had a bunch of other songs at the time, some which we can't, we're not going to talk about.
Sure,
but I mean,
sure.
but we were doing Half Past Human, that came out on our EP. And we had a bunch of other stuff, Show You All. We had a bunch of songs that Neil was singing on. And at one point, Neil was a football star type guy. And we played a funny show. We played a show here at a place called the Elks Lodge in town. And Neil was singing for us. And one of his coaches was out in the audience. And I remember Neil took off his clothes. And he was wearing maybe this after he met Rush, he was wearing like a G-string thing. And he was rolling around on stage. This is about the time that, Iggy and the Stooges were out. And I guess we must have been influenced by them a little bit. And they got in the crowd. His former coach said, "That's not the Neil Beattie I used to know." But anyway, at some point, and actually I thought he had a decent voice, and it wasn't we didn't have a falling out at all, but I think we told him, "Hey, look, we're fucking really serious. We want to be the next Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, what have you. And we don't think you're, we need someone." And so he left the band, and there was like a period where we didn't have a singer, and we played the Starwood, played the Whiskey, played the Roxy as an instrumental group, and we actually had 200 or 300 people had come out to see it. I mean, I know that's not sold out stuff, but it was still and it kind of got us going. And then when we heard Tim, we're like, wow, this is the future of the band.
So then you got like a 1-year period here between the Orange tape, 1 or 2 years, give or take, until you put out your first record. So Tim's in the band now. What's the focus now, and where does this go?
Well, we're still doing the same thing. We're working on new material, and we're playing.
You're playing shows.
Well, yeah, but we're playing shows. We're playing Battle of the Bands because
Right.
there's only 2 things in town:
So
out in the middle of the field or the Battle of the Bands.
So when is the first album written and recorded?
Well, it was recorded at Goldmine Studios. We'd had most of the stuff written. Matter of fact, almost every song on the first album was songs that Greg wrote.
But after the Orange tape was out.
Yeah, after the
obviously.
Orange tape was out.
Right.
And since we had no response from that, we thought, hey, let's put out a real album as a demo, send it to the record companies, one as good as if.
Where did you get the idea to do that?
Well,
I mean, did you
well,
know?
we got
did
it.
you know
We
of
got-
any bands that were self-releasing records at that point?
no, we didn't. But here's what did it. We got the $500 gift certificate for the Goldmine Studios. We went in there, and the stuff
So
was
you
coming
won
out.
the Battle of the Bands and got that?
We came in second.
Okay. Wow. What first place get?
Maybe got $1,000.
Yeah, okay.
But remember, these are gift certificates, so it's like
Yeah, but I mean, $500 in 1980,
Yeah, it was a lot.
1979. I mean, that's a lot of money,
Okay, so we had a good friend too, Randy Jackson. He'd been hurt in an oil field accident. This is kind of about the same time. We want to put out this album. He was a big fan of the band. He goes, I love your band. He goes, look, I got all this money. He goes, if you pay me back, and I'll be the executive producer. So we actually not only had the means to do this now, we had the material, we had the band together. The one thing we were missing was
Money.
Money.
Financing, sure.
And Randy, we paid him back. I borrowed money from my parents.
So you
Before
borrowed,
paid him
you
back?
took a loan to pay a loan.
Yeah, but we borrowed money from Randy, and every penny we paid him back, plus, I'm sure we gave him.
What do you think? How much
Interest.
So you go to Goldmine Studios. Who engineered Frost?
Tim Nelson.
Yeah, Tim Nelson. Was Jeff
And
Cowan?
I'm still in touch with him. He lives in Hawaii.
Was Jeff Cowan involved at all? And
We didn't see him for a while.
But he owned the studio.
Well, no, Jeff was kind of. I think what happened, Tim sold the studio to Jeff and left and moved.
What
to
year
Hawaii.
was Goldmine? What year did they start? Late 60s?
I don't know, but they were there in
Yeah.
1978.
Yeah.
And Tim's brother, Terry, was a famous engineer, worked in Santa Barbara, did like, what's the guy's Caddyshack, famous.
What, the golf movie?
Yeah, but the guy that's singing, I'm trying to think of the guy.
Bill Murray?
No, they did all the music bands. The guy that wrote the song.
Oh, shit, I don't even remember.
Anyway, there are a bunch of famous kind of like soft rock bands from Santa Barbara. Tim's brother was doing all the, think of what are all the famous bands from Santa Barbara, like.
Yeah, I don't know from back then. I know from the 90s.
Okay, but anyway, Tim had a studio down here, was doing a lot of the local acts. His brother worked at Santa Barbara Sound, or a big studio up there, and they're doing all the, I'm going to say Seals and Crofts. That's not who it is, but the guy, whoever wrote the lead.
So this is your first time in a legitimate studio.
Yeah.
And will actually,
We were freaking blown
will
away.
actually, in fact, be the only studio that you ever recorded at from then on for albums. You recorded every album there, right?
Yeah, not 100% completely, because because we're jumping ahead here, we did One Foot in Hell. We went down and did the basic tracks at a studio right next to
Down in Hollywood, right North Hollywood.
And they were like, I want to say.
But you did work on some of the album at Goldmine,
Yes,
right?
of course.
Okay.
Every album up to Paradise
So that's
Lost,
pretty cool. Yeah.
a big portion of it was done at Goldmine Studio.
Yeah, just the only legitimate recording studio in town here.
Yeah.
You know, how much time do you think do you recall spending in the studio making Frost and Fire?
Well,
Was it straight? Was it a block? Did you block out a week or two to do it, or were you coming in? Were you piecing it out? Like, how was that?
well, I'm sure like everything, the money, time's expensive. So we probably went in there prepared, did, the 8 songs, and then came back, did our overdubs. But it was, we were blown away again by just, never being in a studio and hearing the stuff back. And back then, our first album was done on 80-8, half-inch tape. It was still pretty awesome.
So you liked what you heard back on the playback?
No, and
Okay.
even Tim, the engineer, was like, hey, let's do something with this.
Tales that speak of frost and fire, the frost runs free and the fire divine. The frost preserves and the fire will destroy us, pouring rain and the sands of time. I feel it burning, and I feel the breeze. The frost, the fire, it burns inside of me. Tales that speak of frost and fire, guardian angels and the demons of night. The power reserved and the beast will destroy us, gathering darkness and children of light. I feel it burning, and I feel the breeze. The frost, the fire, it burns inside of me. Yeah. I feel it burning, and I feel the breeze. The frost, the fire, it burns inside of me. Tales that speak of frost and fire, tales of all the souls that fell, words that burn and words that just like laughter in the heart of hell. I feel it burning, and I feel the breeze. The frost, the fire, it burns inside of me. It burns inside of me. It burns inside of me.
And then Randy goes, okay, so we needed to find an album cover. We needed to, we got to figure out where we're going to have the album press. We went to a place, a pressing plant, K&M Records in Los Angeles. They were like known for doing, German vinyl, and they were doing all sorts of like high-end kind of like, not classical stuff, but they were doing all top end. If you wanted like a really fancy record pressing done, you'd go get your stuff done there. We went to a guy, Alan Zintz, who was a famous mastering lab. He'd recently just done Chaka Khan when she was like first big popping on the scene and stuff. And so, we went to a place, Color Service, that was doing the color work. I did the layout, artwork, design and stuff. It was printed at a company called Ivy Hill back in Terre Haute, Indiana. So, every one of the guys we used were the same guys that major record company labels were using.
How'd you find these kinds of people?
Well, there was no internet, so you talk to people.
Right. Wow.
Like we were doing, so now everything's digital. Back then, we had to take negatives of the cover and all the pictures and stuff, and they were pasted up on a thing, and then you take it to this Color Service. They'd scan all the stuff on big drum scanners.
Right.
And then they'd print them out onto negatives, and then guys would sit there just like layout and design, like what I was doing, black and white. They'd cut and glue together all the negatives, but for the different colors, the 4-color process, cyan, yellow, magenta. And then they'd send it off to the printing plant, and the printing plant would print out the album covers. And
so you get all these records pressed. How many do you make on that first pressing?
I think we did like 500 or 1,000.
Right.
Like that.
And what do you do with it now? You have this in your hand. This is now your parents' house is full of records, right?
Yeah. Well, Randy, we did all this. It was pretty awesome. So we had the records. I remember someone asked me the other day, what was it like? I was holding a record in your hand. You're just going, yeah, man, this is it. We're on our way. So at the time, we were trying to shop them around to different record stores, like Jim Salzer's. Took them into Jim Salzer's. He goes, sure, I'll sell some of your records here, see if anyone wants them. And somehow we got hooked up with Brian Slagle. He worked at a record store in the Valley, Oz Records, yeah. And the owner was really cool. The guy, liked hard rock, heavy metal. I remember us meeting with Brian, and we're saying, we want to be, will you sell a record? Will you sell it at the store? I go, sure. He goes, I'm starting a magazine, Heavy Metal Review, and, we'll put an ad in there for your record, and we'll do an interview with you guys. You guys play some local shows. We'll do a review. And he goes, my goal is I want to put out my own record. I want to start my own record company. We're all like, well, that's cool because we want to be rock stars, And so we're all sharing like what our goals are in life. And he goes, by the way, I want to put out my first album I was going to put out a compilation album. And at the time, 2 or 3 different guys were putting out compilation albums. Yeah. I can't remember the name of all of them, but there was a guy in Northern California doing one. And I'm not sure that's where Brian got his idea from, but just like we put out a record.
Well, there was the British ones, probably like Metal for Mothers or Rock Snacks and stuff like that,
Yeah, but there was another one here in the U.S. too. I'm trying to think of what the name was that. But anyway, Brian goes, I want to put out a compilation album. Would you guys be on it? We said, sure. So, and we'd already had our album, so we were asking him, hey, what do we do with this? And he goes, well, there's these guys in Los Angeles, and he goes, they're Green World, that's what they call it.
Distributors.
Yeah, distributors. He goes, they import and export stuff to Europe. He goes, you should talk to them because maybe they'll export some of your stuff to Europe. So we went down and met with those guys and talked to them, showed them the album. They were all really gung-ho, like, yeah, let's do this. And they actually shopped it around. They were selling it in Europe, and they were getting a pretty good response for it. So
Did you ever get paid from them?
Yeah, I think we did, And a matter
there's a lot of talk about.
Well, we gave them all the records that we
Enigma,
had, and they sold them, and then they came to my parents' house, and we sat down and we signed a distribution deal with them to actually start manufacturing and selling the record.
See, that's amazing. Like, you make your own record, you make it presentable, right? And you talk to one guy who tells you about another guy, and then all of a sudden you have a distribution deal. You've cut out the record label. You've cut out the middleman.
Well,
like just out of necessity.
But we had to because...
No, but that's what I'm saying. Just out of necessity. I mean, that's amazing. That's
what because there was no way through the record companies. We thought we'd do an in around around them.
Of course.
But, there was no internet, so what you're saying is what people say today. I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, and that's kind of what the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
But remember, Randy was he was the key to this because without the money to do all this stuff, we couldn't have done it.
But even if you have money, you got to know where to put it, you know. So what? Tell me about the artwork.
Well, first off, let's get back to Randy. As soon as we made this deal with Green World,
Yeah.
they wrote out a check for us, paid us for all the stuff that we gave them, and they sold it. You know, we made, once again, we're making a profit, but you know how it is now. If someone gives you $5,000 and you split it 20 ways, you know, it's still not
Sure,
a lot of money,
course,
right?
yeah.
So we paid Randy back. We do all, pay my parents back, everyone who loaned us money to do stuff, and we're broke again. So
I know how it is. Yeah, sure. But the thing is, like, you get to play the game again a lot. You know, I mean, that's kind of what I always want to do. I just want to pay myself back so I could do it again. You know what I mean? So tell me about the artwork.
Okay, so, and this has recently came up. I got an email. We're looking around for stuff to use. You know, and we're all fans of sword and sorcery stuff. Greg turned me on to Elric. He turned me on to Conan and Cain the Barbarian. Everything after the Lord of the Rings, right? So I'd read all the Conan books. We love Frank Frazetta, and we're like, oh, this is fantastic. He had this painting called Berserker, and we're like, oh, this would be the greatest album cover ever. And, we're so stupid, we don't even know, he lives in New York, and he did the Dust album cover, and we're like, well, hey, we got an album thing, we'll pay him, and maybe he'll let us use this. And I remember Greg, around that same week, Greg showed up at the band room with the new Molly Hatchet album cover with that Berserker thing on the cover, and was like, fuck.
That's crazy. Collective consciousness, maybe?
I don't know. But anyway, at the same time, Greg had loaned me Stormbringer by Michael Moorcock, and I'm holding it in my hand.
The book.
Yeah, the book, paperback book, DAW edition. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it and going, fuck, look at the artwork on this. I go, this would be the best album cover that ever existed, right?
Right.
So we all agreed, okay, well, so the Frank Rosetta's, he's dating Molly Hatchet now.
Right.
Once I had a tax guy, I was telling this story. I tell him the whole story about it because he goes, oh, your album covers are great. So I'm telling him the backstory. And I go, yeah, this other country band, Molly Hatchet. And he goes, wait a minute. Because they were country rock.
There's Southern rock.
Southern rock,
Yeah.
that's what he said. So anyway, so I wrote DAW books, and I go, oh my God, I'm just,
So you wrote the book.
I wrote the publisher.
The book publisher. So you're looking inside the book,
Yeah, get
and they
an
have an
address.
address. Probably 555 Fifth Avenue, New York.
Yeah, so
Suite
I type up a thing,
100,
dear
right?
sir,
Yeah, okay.
dear sir. And I said, hey, we'd like to get in touch with, Michael Whalen, who's the artist for this. And they wrote me back, and he gave me his contact information. I wrote him a thing. We sent him the tape, and he goes, "I've never done an album before. Sure, let's do this."
So wait. So Michael Whalen, you were the first band for him to do an album,
yeah.
and he's done Sepultura a couple times, Obituary.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a Morbid Angel, I believe. I mean, that's amazing, man.
What's the guy, Bat Out of Hell?
Meatloaf, yeah,
he
he did Meatloaf, Bad Out of Hell, right?
And he did the cover for 2010: A Space Odyssey.
Wait, hold on. But Bad Out of Hell comes out before Frost and Fire.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to say though, over the years he's done some pretty amazing,
Yeah, but wait. So you're not the first album cover. Meatloaf.
Yeah, no.
Meatloaf is.
No.
Oh, he did Bad Out of Hell 2. I think he did. No, he did Bad Out of Hell 2.
Well,
No.
Frost and Fire was the first.
Right. He did Bad Out of Hell 2, which came out in 1990 or something like that. Okay. Which is an awesome album cover, by the way.
I was just throwing out all the other guys.
No, I mean,
he's
that's
done.
incredible. And we're still working with Michael to this day, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So, all right. I mean, this is a good spot to leave it, honestly. Again, everything after this, I mean, it's well documented, but this stuff hasn't been.
Well, there's more backstory in here, but I can sense this as being a 4-part episode.
Well, go ahead. I mean, if it's relevant.
No, I'm saying just what we've talked about today. This seems like it's going to be more than.
But no, I mean, if there's relevant backstory, now's the time to add it.
Yeah, I don't want to hog the conversation.
You're not. I will say you are very diligent within writing letters to people. I remember you showed me something in the 60s that you wrote to the U.S. government, and they sent you a copy of Project Blue Book about UFOs. You sent them a design of a spacecraft, or hey, how about this? This is important. Tell me now, because we have here in the archives a letter from the late 70s from J.R.R. J.R. Tolkien's. I always say J.R.R. like George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
From J.R. Tolkien's estate, granting you the rights to the name Cirith Ungol.
Well, actually, okay, so when we come up with the name, we said, well, we can't use this without permission because we're going to get in a lot of trouble, right? So we wrote, at the time, Lord of the Rings wasn't that well known, but as we started getting ready to put the album out, they had a cartoon version of it, which was pretty horrible, to be honest. But we found out who was in charge of that. It was the Saul Zaentz Corporation, the same guy that actually caused so much grief for John Fogerty. That was the guy that was a manager for Creedence Clearwater Revival. So I wrote them another letter. I write a letter, "Dear Sir," I'm typing on a typewriter, right? Hey, we're in a band. Can you let us use this? And they said, well, yeah. They go, you can use this as rights, and they put a couple of caveats down there, but they don't. I don't think they own it anymore because once again, that had to be sold off to make the movies and everything.
Sure.
So we're waiting any day for one of the lawyers to contact us.
And Tolkien's passed away by this time, right? Like in the 78,
Oh, yeah.
I think this happened, right?
To be honest, I didn't even know he was still alive. I mean, the time I was reading the book, I thought he was
he died in the 70s, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
but I thought he was like Shakespeare. I thought he
sure,
was
right,
predated
sure,
all
sure.
of us.
Well, all right. That's good. Thanks for the info. And
We'll do a whole episode on me writing letters. Like,
by the way, if anybody wants to check out Rob's Amazon reviews, you can look that up on the
They're legendary.
There's a Cirith Ungol fan site, and it's quite extensive on the information. If you want to find out any of our social security numbers or anything, I don't know where they get this stuff, but it's all there. So be careful with that information. Thanks, Rob.
hey, thank you, Jarvis.
Well, that's it for this week. Pretty cool interview from a cool era of heavy metal when you had to pick up a pen or get behind a typewriter and mail a letter to get anything done. Check out theheavymetalstore.com for Cirith Ungol merch, including the double vinyl Live at the Roxy, recorded at the Sunset Strip, October of 2023. I was at that show, and it's an amazing set. Well, 2 sets. The full Dark Parade album played in its entirety, and then second full set of classics. That's theheavymetalstore.com. Also, I always mention this, but as always, check out nightdemon.net for everything Night Demon. Until next week, this is Nesbitt signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host the Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.